Now let's talk about Ukraine. In the last 24 hours, Kiev received some good news and some bad news. Let's start with the good news. Ukrainian President Zelensky is in the UK today attending a European Community Summit, being hosted by Britain's new Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Starmer is going out of his way to assure Zelensky that Britain has his back.
So our first task here today is to confirm our steadfast support for Ukraine, to unite once again behind those values that we cherish, and to say we will face down aggression on this continent together. Because the threat from Russia reaches right across Europe.
Starmer is sending a message. Like Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson before him, Starmer will continue to help Ukraine. That's the message, and that was the good news. And it must have been music to Zelensky's ears, because lately he would have been hearing a more ominous sound, the whispers of his Western allies abandoning him, starting with his most important ally, the United States of America. There was always a good chance that Donald Trump would win this year's election and return to the White House, but that possibility became more real this week, after the attempt on Trump's life. He seems closer to power than ever before, and that is bad news for Ukraine, because Trump has been quite clear. He wants to stop funding Kiev. He wants to push for talks between Ukraine and Russia. Whether this happens or not, the message is clear. Trump has no interest in burning money on Zelensky. And now Trump has chosen J.D. Vance as his running mate, a man who openly doesn't care for Ukraine. So Zelensky's days of getting American money may be numbered. And that alone could be enough to cost him the war. Without American support, Ukraine will struggle to keep Russia at bay. But perhaps it could manage for a while, grind it out for a few years. That may have been a possibility until this news came in from Germany. The German government passed its budget yesterday, the budget for 2025, and there was a small detail that stood out: the amount Berlin set aside for aid to Kiev. That amount was about $8.7 billion in 2024, but in 2025, Germany has only allotted half that amount, a straight 50% cut. Berlin defended this move. Their finance minister, Christian Lindner, made his excuses after the budget. He said that Ukraine's funding was secured because of money from frozen Russian assets. This was a plan the West had devised a few weeks ago to loan Ukraine $50 billion, using the proceeds from frozen Russian assets in their possession. Germany says that this plan will result in Ukraine having plenty of money, so it doesn't need to set aside too much for additional aid. That was the excuse. But is that the only reason that Berlin is cutting funds for Ukraine? Lindner also had this to say.
Germany continues to be strongly engaged on an international level, but to some extent, weight is being shifted. We have to invest a lot more in our hard security, and at the same time, we cannot continue to be involved across the world like we used to be.
He said Germany needs to invest money in hard security. That means defense spending, and it could explain the decision behind cutting funds for Ukraine. Germany is a member of NATO, but it doesn't really pull its weight. Germany has systematically underinvested in its military. Berlin has gotten away with this for years, but it might not work anymore, especially if Trump returns to the White House, because Trump has been clear on this too. Every NATO member must contribute its fair share. They must spend at least 2% of their GDP on defense. That is what Trump wants. Now that his return seems imminent, Germany seems to be scrambling, trying to arrange the required funds from all available sources, including the money they set aside for Ukraine. This is another blow for Kiev, and it might not stop here. So the question is, if other NATO countries follow Germany's example, if they too pull aid for Ukraine, how long before Kiev capitulates?
Across continents, one powerful news source.
Bringing you diverse perspectives on the issues that matter.
We go beyond the boundaries to give you that little extra about every sporting moment.
So thank you for making Firstpost 5 million strong. We're counting on your support, and you can trust us to bring you the news unfiltered and unvarnished.
Climate change is on our doorstep. It's time for a revolution to take root. And it starts with 1.4 billion Indians. It starts with one tree. One tree for humanity. One tree for Mother Earth. One tree for our future. Project One Tree, a News 18 network initiative.
Obviously today, the T20 World Cup bandwagon has moved across to the West Indies. What can you expect from this?
Hello, I'm Alison Green, coming to you from Durban, South Africa. Today we have a special show.
We'll start with a report on India's shifting nuclear posture. The first time since India officially became a nuclear power.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost America. I'm Aaron Ham, coming to you live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C.